far from the way it is taught at school, so to say. The world is much more complicated and much more serious, and in any case, everyone faces the fact that the devil exists. Well, what we call it, or let's say, simulation exists. But is it real? That's the question. And here,
It's like for Jackie. Would he understand that the reality that is imposed on him is different?
the fact itself,
That it's a false reality, let's say.
yes, just the fact itself, that very Jackie, who has many times more intelligence than I have at least, his consciousness is much more significantly and intensively developed. He can analyze a huge amount of data. No matter how well we program this simulation for him, he will eventually understand that it's a simulation. Moreover, through the work of consciousness, he will perceive it, find evidence, and conduct a mental experiment. By the way, this is also a topic to discuss, but we'll come back to it a little later. So what conclusion will Jackie arrive at? That this is a simulation, yet will he be able to get out of it? No. Why? Because we have plunged him into an illusory world, right? He won't be able to get out of it.
Will he guess who the creator is, that there is God?
Again, he will come to understand that he was created, that is, not God, but we created him. Well, God is not a computer scientist.
Right.
There are computer scientists who are gods, so to say, who create many things, but God is not a computer scientist. He is God.
Not a programmer.
Not a programmer, right. So, Jackie will come to understand that we created him. Since we created him, and someone created us, right? For example, John. If John created us, then Smith created John, right? In this case, Ivan created Smith. And who is Ivan? Ivan is the one whom Jackie himself will definitely create as someone similar to him in order to verify whether the simulation exists. And here the circle will be closed.
Yes. Exactly, a closed circle in the system.
That's exactly a simulation because everything is closed in it. If you go deeper and investigate,
Can Jackie influence the simulation there, inside?
he can. After all, we influence it as well. But our influence is limited. For instance, you and I have just discussed dumplings, right? And many people learn how to properly invest their attention, visualize their success and so on. But here, there are a lot of problems. In that very visualization, I think it is also worth talking about. In fact, it directly applies to that same system of simulation, right?
Programming.
Programming of a simulation. You've said it right. Let's consider the following example of an athlete. For instance, what do many athletes visualize? That they are standing on a podium. At the Olympic Games, they are awarded a medal for being a winner, a flag of their country is raised, and their national anthem is played. Will this athlete really be able to ascend a podium by means of such a visualization? He won't. Why? Because it's a wrong investment.
He feels that he's getting high from this event.
Yes.
He is standing on top of the world.
Exactly. A person strove to get to the top of the world and experience certain feelings, and he has already experienced them. Well, for the system, it makes no difference whether it takes place in one's head or in our simulation or reality.
That is, it immediately gives him a hormonal cocktail as soon as
A
he...
person spent time visualizing until he received subjective sensations, so to say, until he experienced this simulation. In reality, it won't be implemented. But there are certain nuances here. Again, we will tell you why it won't be implemented. And this is indeed so, because a person had pleasure. He experienced it physically, so he won't get it. For example, as I said about dumplings in the beginning, I wanted a Rolls-Royce, or any of our friends came to want a new car. The rules of visualization say that you should feel that you are in the car. You should touch the steering wheel, that leather. You should feel it and rejoice that you are in the car. You should see how people look at you and envy you while you are driving the luxury car of your dream. You'll never drive it. A simple example. Why? Because a simulation or programming of a simulation doesn't work this way. Now let's go back to our athlete. If that athlete visualized, for instance, we take an athlete who engages in pole vaulting over a bar. Okay, he visualized his run-up, his every step and every investment of strength in a push, in a vault, in how he tucks his body and how it flies over that bar. Or, for example, Sergei Bubka jumped 6.15 meters, while this man decides to jump 6.20, okay? So he jumps, flies over the bar, and he sees the 6.20 mark. Or rather, when he is still running up, he sees 6.20. If he visualized it many times and forced his body to work, and at the same time he worked very hard in the gym, he would do that. Whereas if he visualizes that he is standing on a podium, he will never get anything. Just like the one who wants a car, who visualized, smelled and touched that car, he rejoiced at it. Well, you already rejoiced, my friend. You already paid with your life for the illusion you experienced. Your body created chemical reactions for you. You rejoiced. And that's all.
An emotion is given earlier and faster, right?
Not work.
Not work, not action, but emotion.
But an emotion of receiving. This emotion indicates a final result, that is the finiteness of the project itself. You paid, so what did you want? Emotions. You got them, didn't you? You did. This is a hint for those who do not serve God, so to say.
Why?
It's a real practice of how you can program this very simulation.
But the price is high.
Yes, but the price is high, and the price is your life, friends.
The most interesting thing is that, in fact, the pleasure which people dream about is not really attained when they achieve a certain result in three-dimensionality. I mean, a great many people implement something, they do something, they act, but face the fact that they eventually experience a sense of hopelessness of some kind.
Do you know what the point is? I've just told you how to cheat a sharper. If you really want to achieve something and even invest visualization in that, well, this doesn't apply to our friends, the people of Allatra. Let's be honest. This applies to banal fans of visualization. So if they already spend their lives on an illusion, let them at least spend it wisely.
With an outcome.
And with an outcome, yes. There is a certain pattern here. Why? Because it is really sort of a simulation. It's a contract with the devil. You give him your life, and he gives you the trinkets you want. So, like that athlete who practices, does everything as appropriate, invests 100% of effort in training, plus performs visualization, that's when it does work. Then in exchange for his work and investment, it is precisely visualization that will control his body when it is physically ready for that, you see?
Kind of ideomotor training works.
Absolutely right. A person wants a car. That is, he saw a car. What does he want? He wants to buy this car for himself. He can see its technical characteristics, and he wants to own that car. But if, excuse me, he feels his ass on the seat of that luxury car and takes pleasure in his visualization, it will not work. He has to work himself, try to accumulate funds on his own, come up with various ways of earning money, look for an additional job, in order to buy a car of this particular brand with such and such characteristics and so on, but not to put himself into that car. Until he buys it, then the system will give it. You see, if you received an emotion as the end result, you have already received it. Therefore, this is how this world is arranged. But this also confirms that a simulation really exists, since by investing our vril, so to say, we can change a situation. For example, an athlete, the same good athlete, we have returned to him. He may even be talented, but he had no chance to jump 6.2 meters. He doesn't have such an anthropometry as Bubka has, or something else, but with his hard work and vril, he buys a victory for himself. Then he will inevitably be on the podium, and to the national anthem, under the flag of his country, he will receive a medal for being a winner. You see?
Igor Mikhailovich, so far everything is smooth. We're talking about confirmations that there is a simulation, but a question arises: why have you called this option somewhat funny?
Well, because it doesn't fit into reality.
Wow.
Do you know why?
Why?
I'll put it simply. Will Jackie, with his simulation, be able to enter this world? In no way, because he is in a simulation, and he is just a program. He doesn't even have legs. That's the answer. Whereas we humans are able to gain life and come out of this simulation. So this is no longer a simulation. I hope you understand the difference, friends. Do you get the point?
That is, we can give rise to life, right?
We can give rise to life in a simulation too. You see, I mean, you can change your gender, get pregnant, give birth, create a life, but not gain a real life yourself. And we have personalities that completely destroy the whole simulation.
That is, we as people do not fit
Absolutely.
into this simulation.
But as long as we do not realize that we are personalities, yet we continue to exist as primary or secondary consciousness, then the simulation works 100%.
As Jackie, right?
As Jackie.
Enclosed
Yes.
in a certain simulation.
So if we proceed from the theory of whether there is a simulation or not, and what it is, and what our world is in general, then I would put it this way. It's a combined world. It is really combined. Is there a simulation? Or to say 100% that there is no simulation, I have just given some examples, so to say, that confirm the simulation. There are many of them, and everyone knows them. And everyone feels that this world is unreal. It's like a nightmare that we live in.
Everyone is looking for a way out.
Moreover, every human as personality feels and knows what is true. Each of us, let's say, even feels the events that are coming. Again, let's take this surrealism, there is no other way to call it, this simulation. Let's take the Cerberus, the climate one, I mean. Isn't that a simulation? I mean, there is a real threat that the world is collapsing, yet people continue to live peacefully,
As if they are programmed.
as if they're totally blind. Serious anomalies are already so widespread that they defy all norms. The world is collapsing before our eyes. So many events have happened within such a short period of time, which do not fit any norms. But we just note records, we just talk. And do you know what the most interesting thing is? A lot of people are happy about it. And many people say, our world has deserved it. Without realizing the fact, have you deserved it? After all, you are a part of this world. Isn't that the surrealism of this world? When I look at it, I also get the impression that people are just stuck in this matrix, but they still feel as personalities and perceive themselves as protected, as distant or separated from this world, but they are…
In their own simulation, yes, exactly.
Of course, but they are in this world, and the Cerberus has come to them, and no one sees that. It is hushed up. We are the only ones talking about it. For that, we are, excuse me, from all sides.
Disliked.
Yes, they call us all sorts of names, including sectarians and the like, and already throw mud at us from all sides. But you know, friends, what I'll tell you? They have the right to throw mud at us. If we honestly look at this, I would say, strange world, there is no other way to put it, which is filled not only with simulation, but also with idiocy, then those who throw mud at us have the right to throw it. This is really so. Do you know why? Because we, at least the people of Alatra, I would put it this way, we are really, well, I would classify us as sectarians, materialists, moreover, absolute atheists. That's true, friends. I will say this way, the true people of Alatra, the genuine ones, they are all materialists, and they are all atheists. Do you know why?
How to explain that?
Because I look at materialism and atheism from a completely different side, from the right side. Who calls himself an atheist and a materialist nowadays?
Those who deny the existence of God.
Who denies existence of God? Exactly those who want to get rid of their own sense of guilt, of their conscience, those who live with filth in their soul, those who appropriate other people's work for themselves, those who receive rewards for someone, those who are unworthy of the name of a human. But they are not completely lost, they have a conscience, and it doesn't give them peace. And as a defense, as a psychological trick, they deny God, sort of. There is no God, hence there is no one to answer to. If I don't take advantage of the situation, someone else will take advantage of it, so it's better be me. There's no God anyway, you see? That's how a person calms himself down. Is he really a materialist? No. An atheist? No. And who is he? Just a shameless person, right? Kind of a bad person, a creep, as it is said.
And who is a materialist, Igor Mikhailovich?
And who is a materialist and an atheist? A materialist and an atheist are primarily people who are unable to take what is said in religion on trust. Isn't that so? Let's take a look. Yes, all of us were born in some religions, but we didn't take them seriously. Why? If our friends and fellows, the people of Alatra, were fanatics, they would have remained controlled and manipulated fanatics in some religion. Just in vain, but as a rule, they are very intelligent people. Yes, the people of Alatra, I'm talking about you. I really consider you to be among the most intelligent people in this world. Why? Because one needs to have a great deal of intelligence, aspiration, and desire to explore this world, to analyze, to weigh, not just to listen to some man, regardless of what religion he is in, who, let's say, takes the Holy Scriptures and claims that nothing should be changed there, and then immediately adopts laws and regulations which directly contradict what is written. Does this mean he is higher than God or what? How can I now believe in that piece of paper? A simple question, right? If that man himself has renounced the Scripture, hence he is superior to God. But if he is superior to God, then let him. That's how people become atheists and materialists, right?
Who lives in his own universe, yes.
So how can I believe someone who is a liar himself, who tells me fairy tales? After all, I'm already an adult, but he tells me children's fairy tales. For example, that heaven is where a lion is sitting next to a hare, they're eating a carrot and I should sit with them and eat a carrot. Right? It means my body and everything else are preserved. Well, I'm an intelligent person after all. I am very well aware. I've seen more than once how any matter turns into dust. Everything runs out. But at the same time, I feel that everything is not that simple in this world. And what do I engage in? In searching. And here I come to what? To self-development, to self-exploration. I take the knowledge as a tool. And it's not just the knowledge I have been told and should stupidly believe in, no. Alatra is something different. Alatra is the path. Alatra is, first of all, what the prophets brought here. Really those who were entrusted by God Himself to convey to us this knowledge. And how is it different from religions? By the fact that there is no one between God and a human. And the path to God is much shorter than it seems. There are no holy places where a person would go and become a saint. There are no external theatrical actions that would lead you to God, because it's all a simulation. And you will only get an illusion, schizophrenia, or false hopes and beliefs. You can believe that you will get into heaven if you kill yourself and take 10 other people with you by detonating an explosive. Would you really get into heaven if you killed someone? When the Prophet himself said, there is nothing higher than human life, right? Well, and many other things. It turns out, how should you look at this in such a case? However, when you study yourself and gain personal experience step by step, you get the knowledge. You get the knowledge that the spiritual world is real. When you get a response, a real response from the spiritual world, you come to know that there is the spiritual world. And since there is the spiritual world, hence you are able to gain life, right? But before you receive this response from the spiritual world, you will discover that the devil exists, because you will face him one-on-one. This is exactly the Armageddon which was told and warned about. And if you do not win, he will win. Then anger will boil up in you, hatred for Alatra, for everyone else. and for everything except your beloved self, because the devil will exalt you in this very simulation. You'll be elevated in your own eyes. You can present yourself as a saint, as anyone, filled with hatred, filth, and pardon me, with ordinary shit. Isn't this true? It is. So when you face the devil and succeed in passing through him, you attain a path, not simply a path, but the path filled with life, filled with God's love. Tell me, is it belief or knowledge?
It's knowledge, experience, and practice.
So, is there at least one step on the path to God with the use of knowledge, supported with beliefs? It is all solely experience and knowledge. At the beginning of the path, there are doubts. When you fail to defeat the devil, there are self-doubts, doubts about knowledge, and doubts about everything, right?
Yes, exactly.
There are even doubts about the existence of this world. We have the right to that, because we are people. But eventually, when we really understand that the power of our attention is tremendous, and it is indeed what is given to us for gaining life, and when we learn to use it properly, then we encounter first the devil, and then God as well. For this very reason, we are actually materialists and atheists. As you can see, everything is simple. And again, if a person embarks on the spiritual path using the knowledge, tell me, will he listen to priests? No. As for the knowledge, even if a person indirectly comes into contact with it, it begins to awaken in him this very thrill of a heavenly bird, as they say, you see?
An aspiration for freedom.
Of course. And the person begins to feel it. Just imagine what it is like for priests of various religions who have encountered the knowledge and understand the entire absurdity of the situation, that they are in a real simulation of their religion. They do understand, really understand, and many of them are good people. A lot of them joined Allatra. After all, Allatra doesn't remove anyone from any religion or from anywhere else. It merely shows a person how to really reach God if the person wants it. However, many of them are afraid of Allatra because they don't fit in. They just don't fit in as priests between God and a human. And this is a threat to their power. At this point, two entities start fighting inside them, their angel and their demon. When the demon wins, the priest wins. But when the angel wins, a person gains life.
As a matter of fact, they are afraid of freedom, and this is a paradox that a person has authority, but he is absolutely unfree and is afraid of this freedom. He's afraid to get out of the simulation.
Yet, over whom does he have authority? Over an illusion? Over demons in the head? Yes, he can get a little bit of thrill and a little bit of money. He can bask in glory. A little bit. Just a little bit. While being a priest. But life is short, everyone knows that. And this is what depresses them. Also, they are depressed by the truth. That's why they struggle, and that's why they spend big money on ordering dirty slander about us. And do you know what the most interesting thing is? The more filth they pour on us, the more people join us. After all, there are a lot of smart people who have read those dirty articles, which were supposed to make us dirty and whitewash the priests. But normal, smart people understand perfectly well who we are and who ordered those articles, who actually tries to fight against Allatra. This way, the entire illusion collapses. Just look, after every publication or after every negative video, so many people join Allatra. This precisely proves that the simulation is not quite as it is. But there is also reality. This is, despite the fact that you and I haven't touched upon the subject of egregores so far, where there are also a lot of interesting aspects. But I think that's already another story. So, my friends, let's just love each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peace be with you.